My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. We're starting this episode sat inside the town of Armstrong in British Columbia, and today what I'm hoping to get done is connecting a few of the industries over here in British Columbia so we can start supplying these towns with the goods that they need to encourage some growth. As always, as we know, encouraging growth in a city helps your company because it generates more residents in the cities who are going to use your public transport, and it also generates more industries such as commercial and industrial buildings that are going to require increased goods, so you're going to make money on all fronts. So let's get started today then, and what I'm eyeing up at the moment are these two farms here at Armstrong, and we have a food processing plant over on the far western side of the map just outside of Chase. And I think it shouldn't be too difficult to get the wheat over to the food processing plant, and then we can see about getting the food that gets produced out to the towns of Sorrento, Salmon Arm, Sycamus, Armstrong and all the others. So let's get started straight away today, shall we? We're going to need a cargo station, obviously, over here in Armstrong, so we'll go ahead and put one down now. I'm going to say we'll have a 2-track station for this, and we'll increase the size just a little bit because we may end up having quite large freight trains in the future, so just future-proof the station for now. We'll connect it to the 2 roads there by the farms, and that should give both of them direct connectivity to the station. It does indeed, so they can both supply this station now, so we can utilise both of them at the one time. And what we'll do, I think the plan is, we'll take the tracks out this way, we will connect into the passenger line just here, the trains will then run through the station here at Armstrong, and we'll have a branch line that taps off here, heads through this valley this way. We're not going to stop at this farm or this plastics factory or Salmon Arm, but if we run through here it gives us space to put in a future station when we need one. And then we'll come up just beside the lake here, turn west through these hills, and then come down into Chase where the wheat will be delivered and the food shall be picked up. So let's make a start on that. So we want to come out over to the west like that. Because it's 2 platform and it's dual tracked, we are going to need the diamond slip switch in place, so we'll put that in now so we don't forget that. And then from here we will just connect into the passenger line here, just like so. Hopefully we have a, oh no, that's not the best junction in the world, is it? So let's just try that again. And it's probably a little bit better if we come off, in fact we'll go from this side first of all. Let's have a look there. It's not the best, so let's just fine tune it a bit. There we go, that's looking a little bit tidier. So we'll take that, and then that will be parallel, so we know that's going to be nice and neat as well. We'll just have to take these tracks back just a bit, and then we can connect in like that. And there we go, so the freight trains can access the passenger line. Speaking of the passenger line, we've just unlocked the heavyweight 28-1 Parlor, which does 112 miles per hour. We'll have a look at its capacity in a moment, but first I want to get the signals in place just to protect this junction here. And I'll not put a signal here, this way the freight trains are more likely to be the ones stopping, so the passenger trains can get through, and they will then have the priority on the passenger line, and the freight trains will set off once it's clear. We'll put a signal there as well. So yes, as I said, they will run down here, and what I might do at this point is actually put a bypass track in at Armstrong, just on the far side of this platform here. And then if we connect that in down here, our freight trains, we can marshal them down through this bypass track, so if there's anything waiting on the platform picking up or dropping off, the freight trains can just bypass them without interference, and that's going to help things flow that little bit smoother. Just check the junction there, that's fine. So yes, we'll connect in like so, and like that. Again, just check the junction. Yeah, that's all good. Let's put a two-way signal just there, and we'll have one over there as well. This way, when we come to setting up the line, we can make sure they actually do take this bypass platform rather than heading straight on through. Right, so at this point then, we just need to branch off from here, and we'll come round into this valley, and as I said, we'll head down towards Salmon Arm and then over towards Chase. So let's get that set up now. Just make sure we have a decent looking junction. That doesn't look too good. Maybe if we raise it up a little. There we go, that's the best we're going to get it, I think. And like so. And then from this point they're just going to come around here. It's going to be quite a sharp bend to get into this valley, but that's okay. We'll go for the steel bridge just there. We have the modern bridge, it's higher speed, although 4 to 6 miles an hour, I do believe that's the same on either track. Yes, it is. But we'll go steel just because it looks a little bit more modern, and we are advancing into a more modern time. And I think we will double track this entire length of freight line down here, because in the not too distant future I can envisage we're going to have quite a few trains coming up and down here. Obviously we're going to have the wheat trains thundering on down, dropping off the wheat, and we'll also have the food delivery trains heading in the opposite direction out to the various towns as well. So we'll just curve off to the east just a little bit so we can bypass the industries there, but still leave room for us to put a freight yard down later on when we need one. Let's get rid of that. We could also branch off here as well and have a little passenger station for Salmon Arm if we wished, but we'll deal with that later. That's not a priority right now, and in fact it might not even be something that ends up happening anyway. I mean, we can just link Salmon Arm into Enderby and have a tram system between the two towns, and that'll give that connectivity. But we'll see, we can come back to that later on, as I said. For now, let's focus on this freight line. Where are we? Yes, we want to head this way around the foot of these hills here. And then I think if we have a tunnel through this little section here, that'll leave us in a good position to head down in towards Chase. So we want to get to about there, and then start heading west. Let's see here, where's the best way to... In fact, if we come straight through here, it will be a very long tunnel, but it does bring us out on this nice flat area, and that's roughly the same level as Chase and the associated industries as well. So we don't have to drop off down here. So let's just go for the larger tunnel. That's probably the most efficient way to do it. Right, before we progress any further with the train line, let's just take a moment and decide where to put the yard over here in Chase. Now, we do have 3 industries here. We also have the town of Chase itself. So I'm thinking we have a dual purpose station out here. And if we have it somewhere like that, just on the edge here, I'm not sure if that's going to have connectivity yet. No, it doesn't. But I believe we can trick it almost just by putting in a small road connection like that. There we go. Now we have connectivity. I'm not sure if we'll be able to have reach over to the steel mill, but we can find out in a moment. Let's see. Yes, we do. We won't be able to reach the fuel refinery, so we'll have to have some trucks running the the refined oil down this way and then picking up the fuel to go back. And obviously the passengers, we'll put a passenger platform and passenger building in at some point, and we'll have a bus ship them out to the station. And in fact, it's probably not a bad idea, before we forget, to put that passenger building in place straight away. And we'll have it on the far side out here. So we want passenger platform along this side. And I think we're only going to need one platform for this. Maybe two. So just, yeah, I'll go for two. So if we just quickly put one down this side, that activates both sides of that platform. So that gives us two passenger platforms there. But we do need a passenger building as well. So we'll put that one there. And can we squeeze a bit of a bigger one there just to add something a little bit different? Yes, we can. There we go. Looks a bit odd, but it's going to serve a purpose. And for now, I'm happy enough with that. So now we need to figure out how many freight platforms we're going to need. Well, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to say 6. At the moment we have 1, 2, 3. So let's extend out this way as well. So that's platform, well, cargo platform number 4. This will be number 5. Wrong tab, there we go. And then number 6 will be on the far side of this platform, and I think that should be enough for everything that we have out here. So it's a fairly substantial station, but it is going to be doing a lot of things at once, similar to the freight yard that we have in Calgary for the industrial zone there, just on the outskirts of central Calgary. Right, for now, let's get all these run out and joined up together. Okay, that's going to work. Right, so we need some signals, so I'll quickly put these signals in and we'll pick it back up once all the signals are in position and we are ready to set up our line. Okay, so I've put some blocking signals all the way along. At this junction, again, I've put a signal close to the junction for the freight line, and the idea is that that should encourage the passenger line to have priority when it comes to passing on this little junction here. That should work okay. So now we're ready to set up the grain haulage line. So let's set up this new line now. So we're going from Armstrong North, we'll rename that in a moment, and we're heading in to Chase. We want this to be the wheat sort of colour, which I believe is the lighter of the two. So we'll go for that one. So you've gone for that platform, which is a-okay with me, doesn't really matter. We'll just set up your loading orders here. You're only loading the grain there, and you're not loading anything at Armstrong North, sorry, at Chase. Just to make sure you don't pick up anything that's been dropped off, such as the coal and the iron, because they are also transported in gondolas, so there is the possibility it could start shipping away the coal and the iron, although I don't think it would, because there's nowhere for it to go on this line. So, over at Armstrong North, you want a full load if possible, and we'll set your maximum waiting time to 60 seconds. Here, your maximum stop time, we'll just keep it as it is, there's no need to mess with that, so I'll just quickly name this up. There we go, we've gone for wheat freight, Armstrong to Chase. Yes, it fits in with the colour scheme and the naming scheme for our other wheat delivery line, so that's good. So we're going to need to purchase a train for this little route. And I think what we're going to do as well is, just so we encourage the train to head straight into the farm point rather than heading all the way out to Chase, is we'll put a connection across here like so. Just make sure it's nice and tidy at both sides. I believe it is. Yes, it is. And we'll have this running one way. That way our trains, as they leave the depot here, they should now opt to take the route this way, so they can come straight into Armstrong North. We'll just rename this while we're here. And we'll call this Armstrong Freight. There we go. At some point we'll probably utilise this station to drop off the food and the machinery that this town requires. So that will need some trucks ferrying it into Armstrong for the final leg, but that's no problem. And let's go ahead now and purchase a train from our depot, and to make sure we choose a depot that has a connection onto the line. And we'll buy some vehicles now. I think we'll go for the 442 Atlantic just because of the increased power. And we'll have 2 trains running this line to start with. So we want cargo wagons and we want gondolas. And I'm going to say we'll go for 120 carry capacity. That gives a train length of 141 meters. In terms of its speed, it does hit its maximum speed, although its medium is a little bit slow. But that's okay. So yes, as I said, we'll have 2 trains. And we'll assign them onto that line now. And they should make their way out there quite easily. One thing I want to check that I didn't check while I was setting the line up. Yes, see, they are opting to use this platform on their way in and back. So if we just quickly amend the line, and we'll add a station after Armstrong Freight Yard there, and then after Chase we'll add that waypoint there, and that keeps them off of the passenger platforms at Armstrong, so they shouldn't trip over any of our British Columbia rail line trains that might be picking up or unloading passengers. So already we've got some wheat production awaiting on the platform for our trains to pick up. They are just leaving the depot now, as we can see the first one heading out. I think what we'll do now is we'll set up a line to deliver the food. And we may as well go straight back to Armstrong for that. So what we're going to need to do here is put in a truck station. We only need the 2 platforms, one for the food and one for the machinery. And we'll set it back, in fact we'll put it parallel, that way it can be a pass-through station, like so. Just quickly rename this as well. And then we'll configure this so we have street access on either side. Connect those streets in to the town, or to the roads nearby. They're not really the town roads out here, are they? They're still very much country roads. Let's put down some waypoints. And we'll put 2, one on either side of the road, on either side of the station. The last thing we're going to need for this is a truck unloading point in Armstrong. And we'll have that just there. And what we'll do is we'll connect this road back down here. And then hopefully our truck will just loop around rather than doing a U-turn on the roads. Just to keep it flowing and looking that little bit more realistic. So let's see if they will do that when we set it up. Yes, they have. So here you are fully loaded. A 30-second stop time because you're only a truck, so you don't have as much capacity, so it doesn't take as long to load. You're not unloading anything, but you are loading the bread, and that is all you're doing. So we'll quickly name this line as well, and that is Food Delivery Armstrong. We'll purchase the trucks now. Obviously they are going to be running empty for a while. We'll have the Benz tarpaulin trucks, and we'll have 5 of those. Colour them the same colour as the bread, or at least as the line that they are operating on. And now what we can do is set up the bread delivery run from over in Chase into Armstrong. So we want a new line, and we're heading from Chase down to Armstrong. We're having that colour. So after Chase you're going there, and after Armstrong you're heading back there. Again, just keeping them off of the passenger platform. Fully loaded, usual setup here. You're only loading the bread, and you're not going to be unloading anything, so you're not taking anything back with you. And here you're not loading anything when you get to Armstrong, just to make sure there's no confusion. So we'll quickly name this line as well. Okay, there we go. Food freight chase to Armstrong. That's all good. Let's purchase, I'll say, 1 train just for this run here. Again, we'll go for the 442 Atlantic. Cargo wagons, and we want the box cars for this. And we'll have 96 capacity, so not quite as long as the grain freight trains, but that's fine. We'll not colour it in, there's no need. And just make sure we can see the line, there we go. That's the one, food freight. So our first train is making his way over there now. He isn't fully loaded, but he has enough to get things rolling. Just going to smooth out this terrain here where we've laid the tracks down. And again, just here, just taking... I'm using the wrong option there, the wrong tool I should say. Just taking the edge off any of the embankments that may have been generated. Okay, so that's the terrain smoothed out along the side of the tracks now. Production has not really kicked in too much yet at these farms, but it will do soon. And we've also unlocked some newer vehicles. So we have the 282 Mikado and the Mack AC flatbed truck and tarpaulin truck. Let's just have a quick look at those trucks and see if they are superior. I imagine they are going to be. So at the minute we're using the Benz tarpaulin truck to haul the food. 25 miles an hour, 35 kilowatts. So it's fast, no, it's slower, but it does have more capacity. Okay, so there's an interesting choice to be made. Do we go for the increased capacity, or do we stick with the higher speed? I'm going to say let's stick with the higher speed, so we'll keep them as is. But we did get the Mikado, and I believe that was a train we would like to see on our line. And I do believe it's quite a powerful freight train, so I'm going to choose to pop it on the, if I remember, get my bearings here, I'm a bit too far, there we go. Yes, I'm going to choose to put it on our steel, iron and coal trains, because they are big money earners. They are quite long trains and they're travelling quite a distance. So let's have a look here. So here's our steel freight trains, we now have 4 of them. I purchased 2 more of them in the not too distant past. So let's have a look, let's edit these. And we can do a quick side-by-side comparison here. So with the 282 Mikado, it's a hell of a lot more power. And it does a lot better on the old speed as well, as we can see. In terms of costs, it's almost double the cost per year in upkeep. And in terms of outright purchase price. But it would be a shame not to use it, so I'm going to go ahead and equip our steel freight trains with the Mikados. And given that it's got a more powerful engine, it would be silly not to take advantage of that and actually increase the carry capacity of these trains. That's going to cost us 20 million to do that, but we'll do it anyway. And what we'll do, we may as well reverse him back into the station and he can pick up a full load. There's no point in him running all the way there and back with 4 empty wagons when he can quickly head back in and fill those up. We have plenty on the platform waiting. Now we want to get the coal and the iron ore freight trains. And we'll just quickly swap the locos out on these for the 282 Mikado as well. But we will keep their capacity as is, because they are already quite long trains, as we can see. And then the last one was the iron ore freight line. These will want... oh my god, they're still using the 10-wheeler. So they're going to love this upgrade. And again, they're quite short trains. They have a beefy locomotive now, so let's go ahead and treat them to some extra wagons. I believe the coal freight trains were 144 capacity, so I'm just mirroring that here. Yes, they were. There were 12 wagons, that's fine. Okay, so It's a lovely new train added onto the network, the Mikado. It looks like a proper workhorse, a nice beefy locomotive there. Obviously best suited on our long distance high capacity freight lines. Probably put it on a few other of the long distance lines as well in the future. However, for now, I think just covering the steel production and steel delivery is probably the most logical one. Although we could also pop them onto the Calgary to Revelstoke goods trains, because they are travelling even greater distance. So let's go ahead and do that as well. We'll keep the same capacity on these though. These will just benefit from running a heck of a lot faster than they were previously. There we go. Right, we also unlocked the heavyweight Parlor passenger wagons, didn't we? So let's have a quick look and see if they would be better served on our network than the 6-axle passenger cars that we're running at the moment. So let's pick on you. Manage the line. In fact, we'll go for 2 of them. So passenger wagons. So the 6-axle, 20 capacity, 68 miles per hour. So this is 1 less in capacity, but it is a lot higher top speed. Not that any of our trains are capable of pushing 112 miles per hour. But let's just see what it would do in terms of speed. So they'd still be running at the same speed with a reduced capacity. Although these do appear to be that little bit lighter, because it is getting up to top speed that little bit quicker. However, it's negligible. So I think we'll hold on to the 6-axle passenger cars for the time being. Obviously, once we unlock a faster locomotive, we can consider swapping the locomotives out as well as the passenger wagons. I don't think we have anything faster available at the moment. Let's have what is our fastest train, fastest locomotive. It is 62 miles per hour. So yes, we'll hold off with the heavyweight Parlors just until we have a locomotive more befitting of that speed. Let's see how production's going over here. So we've made our first delivery of wheat. It wasn't a full delivery, but it still netted us enough to offset our running costs. It made us 1.81 million. So I imagine once it's fully loaded, we're probably going to be pushing 2, maybe 2.5 million per delivery. So it's going to be a profitable line. Okay, as we can see, we have now kicked up production quite nicely on the old grain front there. One thing I meant to do earlier that I'd forgotten to do is just amend the line here so it heads out this way. Yeah, it's going to increase its distance quite considerably, as we can tell, because we have to run all the way down here. But we can shorten that just a touch by doing that. It's going to make it that little bit shorter, but I'd prefer to have them run a little bit longer if it means that they're not looping around inside the freight yard. So let's go ahead and quickly add in a waypoint there. That's better. Okay, so we've got the food production up and running over here in British Columbia. We have our first food deliveries. Obviously there's nothing to be delivered yet, although there might be a few over here waiting. Oh, there's a handful. So we have 19 units of food ready to go. Obviously that's all going to increase as the time kicks on by. The food train is on his way over to Chase now, so he'll at least have something waiting for him when he does get there. So I think what we'll do in future episodes is continue with this expansion of the freight line over here in British Columbia. We could quite easily, as I said earlier when I was laying the track, put in a station here for salmon arm, and it can be a dual purpose station. Obviously one will have a platform that handles the goods here, perhaps even pick up some wheat if we wanted to. Obviously we want a passenger one and a drop-off point for the food and the fuel into Salmon Arm. However, in terms of the passengers, as I said earlier, it might be better just to have a metro connection through the little mountain here into Enderby. But since we have the track relatively close to Salmon Arm, you know, I suppose there's no real danger in putting a passenger station in there as well. Sorrento is going to be very easy to connect to. It's just a case of tapping off here and running down there. Seymour Arm, you will require the fuel that is being produced down here, so we're going to have a line from here up to Seymour Arm as well. Obviously we also want to bring this iron down, so that makes sense. Getting the food to Sycamus, again it's going to come down here, then head back up the passenger line. And we could put a cargo platform in the Sycamus station and then have the trucks pick it up to drop it off. The fuel would do the same thing because it's coming from the same region. And we'll deal with the rest as and when we get to them, but there's enough to keep us going for the next couple of episodes at least, I think. So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and if you did enjoy it, please hit that thumbs up button down below. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions or feedback, leave that in the comment section below. I do read them and I try to respond to anything that I believe, you know, needs responding to, shall we say. There are some spam comments which I just do not bother replying to, obviously. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're currently sat at time of recording anyway, 126 subscribers. And I want to see how quickly we can get to, say, sod it, let's go big, 200 subscribers. I think that would be an amazing milestone to hit as well. So if we can get to 200, I'd be absolutely over the moon. And I may even consider doing something a little special as a way of thanking you all for your support in the early days of the channel. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. Ta-ta for now.